Hi, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Thanks. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today let's create this animated input fields. So as you can see, we have a labels on the white border, and if you click on the input field, the label goes up and the bottom border has this nice color transition as well. And if you type in something and we click away, as you can see, the label stays up there and we have this deeper purple color border down there. And if we delete it and we click away, this goes back as normal. Okay, so let's just create this animation. Right, so I already created a folder for this little project called animated input, and let's create our index.html file. Okay, and let's create our CSS as well. I'm using Emmet, so I hit exclamation mark and hit tab, and I get this boilerplate for our HTML. I close this up so we can see more from the page. Okay, and let's link in our CSS. Style the CSS, and let's open it up with our live server. Okay, so I turned on the autosave, so it will be saved automatically and we will see the changes on the right hand side. So let's just rename it animated input fields. Let's create a h1 tag. Okay, nothing special here so far. Let's create our form. With a class of form. And let's create a wrapper div for each input and label fields. You can call it whatever you want. I will use animated form. And inside this animated form div, we will create our input, which will be a text. Name is name. And we want a placeholder as well. It's very important. We will use this placeholder to create our animations. So we need to give a placeholder with a space, with an empty space. And I want to turn off the autocomplete. So autocomplete off. Okay, that's it for the name. Let's give a label as well. And it's important the label has to come after the input field. Label is for the name. And let's give a class of label. And instead of typing here the name, so as you can see, we have the label here. We separate it with a span element, so we can target and styling the actual label itself. Label name. Okay, so that's it so far. We have an input field, we have a label, and we separate the actual content inside this span element. Okay, let's copy, hold this part, and do it for the email as well. Placeholder is same, empty. It will be the same. It's for the email field, email input field. And let's make it email. Right, and create a button, add the button as well. Okay, that's it for the HTML. Let's go to the styling. As you can see, we have some margin around our content, so let's just cancel everything out by default. So margin 0 pixel, padding 0 pixel, and box sizing border box. Okay, as you can see, we don't have any more margin and padding. Right, let's go to our HTML now. And as you saw in the front of this video, we have a purple background. So background color, and let me copy the color code. Okay, so this is for the background, and the text color is white. Right, that's it for the HTML. Let's go to the body element now and make it height 50% viewport height. So it will use our viewport height, 50% of our viewport height. And let's create the display. Is flex. So as you can see, they are aligned next to each other, but we don't want to this. We want set the flex direction to column, so they are getting back to under each other. And align items, center. So it's pushed to the center, and let's give some space around each of items. So justify content, spaced around. There you go. And I want the font size 18 pixels, 16 pixels by default. Right, okay, let's focus on the form itself. Okay, so I want to width half of the screen, so let's make it 50% width, and position, relative. That's it for the form. Let's go to this wrapping div, animated form. I want the width of 100% of the form, so width 100%. Position relative again. I want the height of 50%, 50 pixels, sorry. And let's give some margin button. 40 pixel, let's say. Don't worry, we will style it soon and it will look much better. Okay, let's concentrate our input field as well. Okay, so inside this animated form class we have an input, and I want to style that one. I want 100% width. and 100% height as well. Okay, as you can see, the labels has been pushed down under the input box, but we will fix it soon. I want a bigger font size for the input field. Right, and of course I want the background color of this input field exactly the same as a background color of the body, so background color, let's copy from here, from the HTML. Okay, and we don't want this outlines and borders, but I will make it disappear later on. It will help you to see how we formatting the label. Right, let's just concentrate on the labels now. Animated form, label, the position will be absolute, so we can place these labels wherever we want, and we want the labels down here, so bottom 0 pixel, let's make it 5 pixel, and left 0 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, we have our labels inside the input field, and we want to make them 100% width and 100% height as well. Okay, but as you can see, we are not able to click inside the input box anymore. In order to fix that, we need to use something called pointer events. And let's set it to none. Now we are able to click inside these input fields again. But as you can see, as we made the labels 100% width and 100% height, it jumped up it's positioned our labels up here. So that's why we created this separated span for the label name, so we can position it as well. And actually I made a mistake because it has to be 0 by default, and that's it. So it's now exactly inside our input field. And let's just target this label name now. So again, animated form, and we want to target the label name. Position absolute again, and we want to position it to the button. 0 pixel and left 0 pixel again. Okay, so as we are not able to styling our input fields border button, we will styling the pseudo element of the label. So we are styling the after label after. Animated form, label after. The content of this after will be nothing, so set it to nothing. And the reason we do it because we want to style it the label border button. So let's just style it. Border button will be 3 pixels. First of all, let's just make disappear this border and outline as well. So scroll up to the animate to the form input, and let's make the outline none and the border none as well. Okay, so as you can see, we don't have anything now, and we want the cursor to be nearly at the same height as we have the label. Padding top to it like 20 pixels. So we have our cursor, and if we start to type in, it's nearly at the same place where we want to. And we want to color the input text white. Okay, that's it. So what we want a white underline down here by default, and we will change it to the deeper purple later on if we click on it. So let's make this white underline. We need to go for the label and style that one, border button white, 1 pixel solid. And here we have our white underline. But if we click on this input field, we want to make the border underline deeper purple. So let's just make this one. It will be 3 pixel solid again. And I copy the color from the original project. And a position absolute again. And let's make it bottom 0 pixel and left 0 pixel. And we are not able to see anything because it doesn't have any width, but we make it 100% width. Okay, so we are seeing our deeper purple underline now, but we are still see the white one as well. So when we position it, we need to position it a bit lower. So let's say -1. Okay, so we are not seeing our white border now. But we don't want it to appear by default. We want the white color by default. So let's just make the width 0 pixel by default. Okay, so let's just start to animate it actually. So how we want to animate it? We want to animate it if we click inside the input fields. And we also want to keep the new state when we typed in and we clicked away. So we need to detect if we are clicked inside this input field. So we will using input field focus. So if it's in focus, then we animate it. So let's just go to the animated form, and we want to target the input. Input field. And if this input field in focus, then we want to animate the label. In order to do that, so we are focusing on the input, then we want to target the label. So .label name. But it's important that we can use this plus sign only if the label is under the input. So we can targeting elements with this plus sign after the first part of the animation. Okay, so what do we want? If we click on it, we want to place this label name, move this label name up here somewhere. So we will using the transform and the translate y, and we want to move up with 150%, let's say, and let's just try it out. Okay, we click on it, and as you can see, the label name jumps up with 150%. But we have a problem here, because if we type in and we click away, as you can see, the label name is jumping back into our input field. So to fix this, we need to target one more thing. So comma here, and we're targeting the input again. Animated form input. And we want to decide if the placeholder is empty or not. So if the placeholder is empty, then we would like to leave the label name up there where we moved it. Okay, so we have this not placeholder shown. So if the input field placeholder not shown, then we want to target again the label name. So if we type in now something and we click away, as you can see, the label name stays up there, but if we delete it and we click away, it jumps down. Okay, so we are animated the label name itself. Now we need to animate the border bottom as well. Nothing special here, we just copy this code and basically do the same, but we are targeting, instead of the label name, we are targeting the label after. Again, if the placeholder is not empty, we want to target the label after pseudo element. And we don't want to move up our border, we want to make it 100% width instead of the 0 pixel. So width 100%. So now if we click in, we should see our border just as we expected. And of course we want to make it animated, a smooth way. So we need to give a transition. We want the transition length 0.3 second and ease. And we want exactly the same for the label name as well. And if we click now into the input field, as you can see, we have this nice animation. And if you want, you can change the label color as well, or the label size. So for example, if you want a bit smaller label here, you can target the scale as well. Okay, let's just check it. And as you can see, it's a bit smaller now. Okay, so that's it. Hope you liked it and it's helped you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet.